Hello everybody, my name is Mark Sage and I'm a new Executive Director of the area. And a very warm welcome to our latest webinar, and I hope you find this enjoyable and a useful session. Today's webinar is the 8th in our series. All of the previous webinars are available on our YouTube channel, and they cover many different areas and include lots of insight from our member companies. I strongly encourage you to have a look at them. So today's webinar will focus on the research and reports we've been creating, curating and collecting at the area. It will help you understand what content and studies are available and provide guidance on who would benefit from reading them. We will talk about the difference between our studies and technical reports and the area research committee activities. We explain how the topics for the area technical reports are prioritized, developed and delivered, and what studies we're working on now, and what reports we're currently under development for the future. And finally, if you're not aware of how and what the area is, we'll provide a short introduction. I really hope you enjoy this webinar. So I'm lucky to be joined today by a number of researcher experts who will be sharing their insights and expertise and what they're currently working on. They will also share their thoughts on the content and the value the area brings to its members and the wider ecosystem. So to start with, I'd like to spend a few minutes just give you an overview of the area, our vision, mission, objectives, and focus on the value we create through our research and content development. Our vision is to be the global membership-based organization, accelerating AR adoption in the enterprise. It is critical for any new technology to survive that a strong and wide ecosystem is created and nurtured, and every player within that is important. The area works with customers, the buyers of AR technology, from a range of asset-intensive industries like aviation and aerospace, power and energy, and naval engineering, to mention just a few. The customer outlines the needs through their requirements and projects, and it's important that they see a return on investment and understand the best practice and risks of implementing AR, and the area provides this type of content. The provider segment offers the solution to the customers. This can be found in many forms, including software, hardware and services, and they have to match their solutions to the customer's requirements. The third part of the ecosystem is the non-commercial entities like universities, research organizations and consultancies, and they are pushing the boundaries of the technology and our thinking. The area focuses on supporting all of these segments and the wider ecosystem, ultimately to provide the best customer outcomes. Our mission is to help organizations achieve greater operational efficiencies through the smooth introduction and widespread adoption of interoperable AR-enabled enterprise systems. But just to be clear, the greater operational efficiency is not just that achieved by adopting AR. The area focuses on the organizations and ecosystems that will become more efficient because the customers will know what they're seeking and the providers are more able to meet the needs of the customer. To deliver our mission, we have created 3 strategic goals. All are important to our success, but in today's webinar we'll focus on the well-informed enterprise AR customers and continue advancing AR technologies. In fact, all these goals are interlinked and helping the area fulfill its vision. There are numerous benefits of joining the area, which are outlined on this page. This webinar is one of the many channels we use to deliver, promote, and discuss our key goals. Our members are leaders in their fields and help contribute to all these benefits. We are currently 33 members strong and growing all the time. We are made up of a mixture of customers, the buyers of the AR solutions, providers, and research organizations. And this infographic helps show the different members and what segments they are in and what services they provide. A key segment for this webinar is the research segment in the bottom right-hand corner. Our experts on today's panel come from this segment. So, to find out more about the area, please go to our website, www.thearea.org, and follow us on Twitter, or please feel free to email me at mark@thearea.org. So, let's get into a little bit more detail on today's webinar. I want to outline in a bit more detail the types of content the area has created, curated, and delivered. The Area Technology Reports contains many articles about the commonly used technologies and tools in enterprise AR. This includes design, implementation, and delivery information. Our use case section focuses on the business and the key scenarios where AR is being used. It helps the reader understand how AR is being used in the real world. The Area blog contains many entries, including thought leadership from our member companies and articles about the AR enterprise ecosystem in general. And through our case studies, you can read about the real-life end-to-end experiences of our companies introducing AR in the workplace. And this is often a member-exclusive benefit. We have a dedicated news section which is frequently updated and collates all the latest information about the AR enterprise space. We create a monthly newsletter highlighting the best content from that month. And we also have other content programs, including white papers, technical reports, and presentations. Just quickly wanted to mention our editorial policy. It is to inform and educate readers about enterprise AR companies, technologies, benefits, and implementation details. We do this in a balanced and neutral way. The area doesn't seek to or promote or favor the products and services of any one company. And finally, a quick slide on who benefits from the content the area creates. It's useful for many readers, but focused on some of the key players, including organization decision makers like the CEO and CIO, who are looking to understand the return on investments and risks to their organization. The innovation and IT managers who are looking at suitable technologies, standards, and implementation best practice. And researchers and academia staff who are looking to understand the latest technology and the way we are moving forward. Okay, so it's now time for our panelists to introduce themselves, their role, and the work they've been doing on behalf of the area. Christine, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Mark. So it's a pleasure to be here and talking about the different studies that we've been doing. I've been involved in many of those, had the pleasure of working with the other people here on this panel in my role previously as the executive director of the area. And I look forward to taking any questions. If anybody wants to follow up with me, I remain very interested in all things having to do with the use of augmented reality in enterprise and industrial settings.
Thank you, Christine. And Pepe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, with pleasure. And hello, everybody. Thank you, Mark. I'm Giuseppe Scavo, and I'm a PhD candidate at the Open University in UK. So my research is focused on augmented reality in enterprise use cases and the combination with IoT. But with the area, I write technical reports, so I provide my research experience to write technical reports, research reports, and white paper. And I'm very open to discussions for new reports, so please contact me if you want to discuss about some of these reports.
Thank you. And I'm really pleased to introduce John Simmons. John, would you like to say hello?
Sure. I'm John Simmons with the Electric Power Research Institute. We're a public nonprofit research company dedicated to helping utilities provide safe, reliable, and affordable and sustainable power. I've been working on the research committee for a couple of years now, creating a framework and methodologies for creating and disseminating the research that the area does, looking at areas like IP issues and funding issues. There's a couple of different ways of handling the reports. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, one of the goals of the area is to advance the industry. The area is kind of unique in this respect. It's the only organization that I'm aware of that is out there trying to boost the entire industry as a whole. We have a unique position in that we're not tied to any kind of commercial research or university research or any kind of vendor or technology. We're kind of agnostic to all that, and that allows us to go out and look at what the best is available and to look at the latest information without any bias and assemble reports and documents and blogs, etc., that will educate and inform the general public and the AR community. Next slide. So our research committee, in which I'm a member, as I said, the last 2 years we've been really looking at a framework, and part of that framework was to really identify what kind of research is possible in this kind of an organization and what the benefits are. Again, the area is very unique in that if some independent entities were going out and trying to do joint research, it would be very difficult. Every time they would get involved in any given research, there'd be all these IP issues and contractual issues. And being part of the area, kind of we do that once and for all, and we define what how to handle the IP issues ahead of time. So it becomes very easy to do kind of collaborative research under the area umbrella. The two types are the member-directed, and this is more of a generic kind of research. It's paid by the members, where the members own the IP. You can think of it as more an ad hoc kind of research where a group of the members come together for a particular purpose. And then there's the area-directed, where a portion of the members' area dues are put into a pool, and the research committee helps decide how these are prioritized and spent. And in this case, the area itself pays for the research, and the area owns the IP, and we may or may not charge a license to non-members. A lot of times you'll find that an organization like the area will license a technology just to make sure that it's available to everyone. It's not to essentially create a new revenue stream, but it's to make sure that the technology, everybody gets an equal shot at it.
Cool. Thank you very much, John.
Next slide.
So just before we go on to the slide, perhaps I've got a question to Christine. Thank you, John, for that information about the research committee. So Christine, perhaps you can talk a little bit about how the work that the area is doing is perhaps different to some of the normal market research companies' kind of feedback and reports. Can you give us a little insight into what the differences are there?
Sure. Yeah, I as a consultant, of course, many of us write private reports or custom research. That's just for one client. So certainly in practice, the area research is done on behalf of of all of our members, and in many cases on behalf of the whole industry. Another thing that is different between many of the market research reports and other kinds of technical reports that I've seen published over the last couple of years is that we are focused only on the augmented reality use cases and technologies as they are applied in the enterprise. It's very, very common for the analysts elsewhere, third parties, not affiliated with the area, to write and to study virtual reality and augmented reality together as if they were somehow one and the same. And it causes some confusion that people can't easily distinguish because they're making general statements about AR and VR, which often are not correct for either VR or AR. So I see that as a big difference with our work. And in addition, we focus really on those industrial and enterprise use cases. We don't try to study what consumers are doing with games or entertainment and other public applications, and sales and marketing use cases are also not part of our scope. We really focus on those technologies that help companies be more productive or increase safety in the workplace. So those are some of the ways in which the area research is substantially different. Another, I think the last one I'd like to mention is so many of those analyst firms have financial models that they've been working on for years, decades in some cases, and they have a lot of data about adoption trends, about numbers of employees, sizes of industries, and they can develop financial models or forecasts about spending in the future or the number of units that will be purchased. And that's also not something that the area has the skills or the data to prepare. Our reports are much more technical and about the state of the art, what the current status is, and people want to have very actionable kind of hands-on information, not too much theory.
That's great.
Mark, those are some of the things I would say differentiate the area research projects and reports and studies from what you'll see published elsewhere.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that insight. So, Christine, let me ask you this next question. So how are the topics for the area reports prioritized and the content developed and delivered? Can you give us an insight into how that all works?
Sure. Well, it started very organically. We came up with, through conversations with people scratching their head, people being curious or feeling confused, uncomfortable, not having the answers that they needed. So there were a lot of open questions. We started with many, and there's always more new questions to address and to investigate. So some of it was doing interviews with members, specifically asking members what they feel are the big burning topics that they'd like to have their customers read, or if it's a customer company, they might have some topics that they just get asked over and over again internally, and they'd like to be able to share one report, an authoritative, neutral source. So those were some of the ways that we identified the topics. We also did surveys of members. If you go to the next slide, you'll see an example of a member survey that we conduct regularly, and we ask the members to tell us what are the important topics. So this is more anonymous. They can also, it is a member exclusive survey, so we know that we're just getting information on prioritizing based on the needs of our members. If you go to the next slide, you'll see that we also ask them about maybe best practices and guidelines that they'd like to see prepared. So we come up with the ideas, and then we ask other people to, in some cases, vote on them. Otherwise, sometimes other people promote specific topics. One of the topics that's really been promoted, and I think is still a very difficult one to answer, is around security. We start on a topic by usually doing some, I call it desk research, reading what's been written on a topic. Frequently, in fact, I'd say most of the time there's nothing written about the topic that we're going to write about, so we have to study adjacent areas, like what's been done with security for IoT, what's been done for security in other kinds of wearable technologies. Then we can conduct some interviews with our members or conduct an online survey, as we've done here, to get more data, more insights. If we don't see that there's a clear consensus, then we might have to go elsewhere and study it further. So those are some of our methods. Once we've got collect our data from experts and interviews, and as well as on the web, then we perform an analysis of what we've collected. Either Beppe and I or both of us write those reports. Sometimes third parties that are subject matter experts could be brought in to write on a particular topic. And sometimes we encourage our members to contribute and to partner with us. So one of the methods is to get our members who are experts in these domains to partner with the area's editorial team, our content team. We can do sort of some of the writing. We can also do a lot of editing, developing illustrations or graphics that enrich the material. So there are a variety of different methods, and just depends on the needs and the resources that our members have.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that insight. So we found out a little bit about how we do it. Let's find out a little bit more now what reports have been done. So I'm going to ask Beppe to talk a little bit about what studies and findings have been published to date.
Sure. So far we have one original report from the area, which is this AR remote assistance report. So the authors are me and Christine. So this came up as one of the hottest topic for our members to write a report about, because there was a lot of confusion about what is remote assistance and what is AR enhanced remote assistance. So we wrote this technical report that has the technological requirements for a system to be called AR remote assistance. So on both sides of the communication, on the expert side and on the field remote worker side. And also it lists a number of use cases in which introducing AR remote assistance is a benefit for the company, and these use cases have been taken from the literature, have been taken from the experience of our members, and how, and it also explained how the introduction of AR remote assistance brought a benefit, and also to what extent. And the end of it, there's also a very interesting appendix on applied research, because most of the times one of the problems that happen in when producing a solution, and many providers, many technology enterprises kind of reinvent the wheel. So we wanted also to introduce this kind of the applied research part in which the solution provider can draw inspiration from and can adapt the technology to differentiate use cases and settings from time to time. Other studies we have published are, for example, are these two that have two different kind of formats. So the one you see on the right is a report that we have written in collaboration with one of our members, which is Vital Enterprises, and it's an investigation on the level of adoption of smart glasses in the enterprise. It is based on a survey that was sent to individuals working in industrial organizations. The survey investigated the drivers to adoption and the perceived benefits of AR in those selected use cases. The use cases are explained in the report, and their benefits from the benefits that they get from the adoption of AR, and also with some statistic on how the people surveyed consider these benefits important for their organization. Instead, the one on the left is a report of the Maastricht University School of Business and Economics of the Maastricht University that is external to the area, but we have then a collaboration. So we've asked for permission to repurpose this report and take it on as an area resource. And it's a very well conducted study that reports on a quantitative comparative experiment between a paper condition and an AR condition in a warehouse picking, order picking use case. This research study has a lot of measurement. It's very well conducted, and it has a lot of measurements in many levels. So, for example, has performance measurements of people performing the tasks, and the physical measurement of heart rate and other biological measurements, a psychological measurement of the usage of AR during order picking with augmented reality smart glasses. And so the comparison between the two conditions then is reported, and the results are reported of this study.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, if you can go to the next slide.
Cool, great. So I think there was some great examples of the, some work we've done ourselves, some work we've done in collaboration with our members, but also in the wider ecosystem as well, and shows you the strengths of the area and the kind of different organizations we're working with to promote AR within the enterprise. So that's some of the reports we've already created. I guess the next question is, well, what ones are under development? So Pepe, can you give us some insight into the next set of useful reports that will be coming?
Sure. So the first one I want to talk about is a UX design report for enterprise AR that we are developing. Is actually almost it's under publication, so it's in review. And so basically, it's a report thought to bring a bit of order to the chaos of UX development for enterprise use cases. So this the report is use case driven. That means that there are there are 3 representative use cases in the enterprise we start from to take the developer through this decision-making process towards the final solution. So we start from the technology selection and the device selection, and then go through upwards to the interface and interaction design, and then in the end the human factor consideration. So what people really think of the technology, how people interact with it, and how they feel empowered powered by it. So these three use cases are the warehouse picking, the assembly, and the industrial machine servicing, which are three representative use cases that we have found most common among our members. And it's based on one scientific research to the experience of our the UX designer that work in the provider segment of our members. So it's a collection of best practices, guidelines, and also it takes the designers, the developers, designers of the application through the decision-making in a step-by-step way, and he provides guidelines at each point of the decision-making process. Then there are also other reports, other development. So there's an AI adoption model we are developing. So the so-called customer journey of AI adoption. We are trying to formalize this customer journey, drawing up this called the diffusion of innovation. And so we are trying to see at each stage of the adoption what are the drivers and barriers at each stage according to three fundamental horizontal measures, which are the return on investment, human factors, and the technology maturity. So in other words, we are trying to analyze, identify what are the success or failure conditions at each stage of the adoption, so that both the providers and the adopters of the technology can confront what are their needs and what are the results of at each phase, and then decide how to proceed to the next phase. In addition, there are two more reports that we are trying to develop, and which are, one is an introduction paper about, so it's meant to fill this first part, for example, of the framework, and it is introduction paper to AR, which is meant to educate the customers during their first contact with the AR technology, so in order to avoid confusion, overpromising, and misconception about the technology itself, or as Christine was mentioning earlier, it would be nice to avoid a lot of confusion with VR. And another is an AR authoring tool report, which has a landscape, an analysis of the landscape of what are the authoring tools and how are they structured according to their target audience. So in this case, it can be business to consumer or general purpose SDK, and there's a special focus on enterprise-specific authoring tools, which are the expertise of the area.
Cool. Thank you very much, Pepe. That was very interesting and very insightful. So, kind of come to the end of the topics we'd like to cover. I hope you've actually got a really good insight to the work that we're doing here at the area. There's lots of opportunities to engage with us. If you have some research ideas or some papers or work you'd like to do, then please do contact us, and certainly look at the website, all the different content and news that's available. We will be having a next webinar, so please keep your eyes open for the area newsletter. If you haven't signed up for it, please go to www.thearea.org website. And I guess finally, I'd like to thank all of our experts, not only for their time today, but for their ongoing fantastic research and hard work. And these people are really leading the market, or leading the industry in some of their thought leadership and thinking. So I'd like to thank them for all of that, and hope they carry on. And I look forward to speaking to you all at our next webinar, which will be promoted in our newsletter. And apart from that, I wish you all a good rest of the day. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye.